ladies and gentlemen, on the guest list today, and I kind of can't believe I'm saying this, we got a fucking legend in our midst. We got Patrick Carney from the Black Keys. Patrick, how are we today, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Dave has a question for you right off the top.
So your management team reached out to me. I was just sitting around twiddling my thumbs the other day, and it's like, hey, would you guys be interested in interviewing the Black Keys? And I did that thing, when you get a text message from a girl you like or something, you don't want to respond right away.
You made us wait.
So I waited, 5 or 7 minutes. I forwarded them the email. I'm like, yo, do you see this? And Colin responds right away because he's a lunatic and he's never not looking at his phone. And he's like, yo. And so I responded. I'm like, yeah, we would like to interview the Black Keys. So
I thought it was fake, for the record.
I did too.
I checked like 100 different times to make sure it was like, I Googled the management team, the agency, and all that. I was like, this is legit. So, but you've done Rogan, you just did Apple Music. You don't do a lot of sit-down interviews. Why did you pick us assholes? Because we're a bunch of nobodies.
Well, I think like during the pandemic, 2020, like I have a young kid too now, and I just found myself watching a lot of YouTube and listening to a lot of podcasts, and there wasn't much music coming out, so I just kind of got hooked on some podcasts. So, and I had this thing where I was like, Dan and I were talking, I was like, it's like, if we do an interview with like Rolling Stone, the only people reading it are people that read Rolling Stone.
Facts.
It's like, it's just, I watch sports. I pay more attention to sports than I do music, essentially, right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still learning about, I've been into sports since I was a kid, but like, it's still kind of new to me,
Yeah.
Because I switched my focus kind of more into watching baseball than to,
We can have great conversation then, because I'm the non-music guy of the show, and I'm sure I'll just be peppering you.
Yeah, me and Dante will leave.
You're the guitar player. What are you talking about?
I can play like 4 chords on a guitar.
Yeah, so
that's enough though.
Yeah, part of what we're doing here is we're turning Dave into a rock star. Because I'm a touring musician, Dante's a DJ, Kenny is from AWOL Nation, and then Dave is learning.
Yeah.
Can you just tell him what a hellhole the music industry and tell him to just back out now?
It's
I mean, it's giving you your life, but you obviously you see the underbelly of it too, and that's like kind of what Colin and everybody else tried to expose on our show.
Yeah, music is my life,
Of course,
right?
You know what I mean, and I kind of have this relationship with it where it's like I don't want to wear it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I don't sit around and just force myself to listen to music or force myself to make it. And touring is a little different because lately we don't do tons of shows, so it's like it's always fun to go out there and to travel and stuff. But my biggest fear is wearing it out, just getting sick of it. I kind of treat the same thing with like, it's like imagine eating your favorite food like every day. Like you have to find a new favorite food
for sure.
So it's like for music industry, for me, it's like I'm passionate enough about it. Dan and I both are that we were willing to risk everything to play music, and I still can't really fathom the fact that it worked out, and when things don't really quite work out for us, I just remind myself how incredibly lucky we have been, because it's very rare.
I mean, dude,
if I look at my Facebook friends, it's all musicians that I'm friends with that I grew up with. I'm one of the only ones that has made a living doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like the only person I can bitch about stuff to is Dan. Yeah. And so we bond heavily about that stuff. But I do think it's the kind of job where it's like I was happy to be in a minivan traveling around the country for no money, risking everything just to have that experience. I found the other day, this it was an email that was sent to us for our first real tour. We had this guy named Ralph Carrera. He booked this club in Orange County, and he agreed to book us a tour. We didn't know how to go on tour. We had our first record came out. This is 2002, and he's like, here's your tour. Get in the van, and it's an email, and it was like 20 shows. It was like drive to Chicago, and we were going to play the Beat Kitchen It was like $50 and a pizza. That was like, that's what we were gonna get. And
That's
we
good
drove
living early on, dude.
Yeah, well, tolls on the Dan Ryan and all this shit.
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
well,
yeah.
Okay, we're gonna not make $1.
Net
That's
probably
fine.
negative $14.
Yeah, exactly.
Sleep in the car.
We had no credit card. We didn't have a credit card. We were out there like
man.
literally free balling with no money. Our parent. There's no way to get. I mean, we could have ended up in like a Scooby Doo situation, washing dishes.
Yeah. But you did that knowing that you were eventually going to make it, I'm sure, right? Or was there ever doubt?
No. I mean, we just kept going.
Mm-hmm.
We did that tour, and we went back to Chicago and played the Empty Bottle a bunch. And
Great spot.
I used to live
Yeah.
10 feet from the Empty
Yeah.
Bottle.
We
I was
played-
at Augusta and Western.
Yeah, I love.
Yeah.
It's like Ukrainian Village. Is that-
Yep, Ukrainian Village.
I
yeah.
love Abbey Pub. We played there.
Mm-hmm.
The Metro, the
Iconic.
Riv, the Vic,
Did it all.
the Oregon.
Chicago
United
not have
Center.
some of the best venues in.
I love
country.
Chicago. I mean, Chicago was like.
But you just rattled off the Metro, the Vic, Aragon. Those are
Empty
three
Bottle, yeah,
of
all
the
of
We
them.
never
best.
played Double Door, which is no longer there.
I was
right?
gonna say that
No,
closed,
yeah.
didn't it?
Yeah.
That's probably why they closed. They should have added.
No, that was a
fucking
fucked up story. No, that was like some shady Chicago politics story with
Yeah.
that.
But yeah, Chicago was like the mecca for us, and like it was New York, Chicago was easier to get to. So when I was growing up and living in Akron, I lived there till I was 30. We would go to Chicago a lot. I spent most of the summer of 2004 in Chicago because my girlfriend at the time was going to Northwestern, and I fell in love with the city. It was just like this is the spot. But back to the touring thing, like there's no guarantee that we would ever like. We set little goals. That's what kept us going. It was just like so it would be like, let's play the B Kitchen. Like, well, that all the real bands are playing the Empty Bottle. Let's go there and try to.
The Stones played the Empty Bottles in the 60s. That's been around for decades and decades.
Really,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like a legendary.
it's the spot too. That's the place they really took care of you.
What were the outside influences like dealing with? So your family, your friends, did they all think you were fucking crazy dropping out of college and trying to pursue this?
My grandfather had a PhD in chemical engineering. That's how. That's how I. That's how I ended up in being from Akron. Because my grandfather, who's from West Virginia, he was raised in a single family home. His mom was a teacher, so I guess she must have like made him get good grades, and he ended up getting a PhD from West Virginia in organic chemistry, chemical engineering, and I was going to school in Akron University, like a commuter school, where kids just go and they don't know when they have terrible grades, like Dan and I, and don't know what they want to do, like Dan and I. And I was struggling, and a lot of my teachers were dickheads, and I just wanted to play music. And I thought I was getting this insurance policy by getting this degree. And I was like, after 2 or 3 years going, I was still like technically a freshman. And Dan was like, fuck it, I'm dropping out. And because we started, we decided to start the band. He's like, I'm dropping out. And so the next semester, I decided I would do the same thing. And I was working at this restaurant in Akron as a cook, and my dad and my grandfather came in to eat. And I was like, this is a good time to tell them because like I can go back to work. I'm gonna go out and tell them on my break and get the fuck out of here. And I went out on my break and I sat down with them for a minute. And I was like, so I'm gonna drop out of school and do this band with Dan. And my dad was like, no, you can't, don't. And my grandfather's like, he's like, yeah, give it 2 years, and if it doesn't work, then go back to school. And I was like, damn, I got the fucking pass right there.
Let's go.
Because my uncle is a musician. My dad's brother was a musician, amazing musician, and basically destitute, for most of his life. And I think that they clearly just didn't want that.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you realize if you're a musician, that's the risk you take. If you play music, you might be destitute. And so I always was like, if it didn't work out, I would have to mow lawns or something, which I've been fine with. I used to do that.
Yeah.
I'm much happier it worked out because that's really hard fucking work.
What moment, was there a specific moment? Because, I mean, the big come up is now 20 years old, which is fucking insane.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
And then there's Thick Freakness, and there's Rubber Factory, and then there's Attack and Release, and everything in between. But where, like, was there a moment where you're like, I'm not going to be destitute? Like, holy shit, this might actually work out.
It was Eastbound and Down, wasn't it?
I remember I moved to New York when I was 29. Like I just broke up with this, someone I was married to. We were together for 10 years, and I was like, I gotta leave Akron now. I'm gonna go to New York. My brother was moving to New York. And I was stressed out. This is like right before our record Brothers came out, and I was living in an apartment. It was like $3,000 a month. I was like, "This is like
That was probably about the size of
unsustainable."
Oh my God.
And our record came out, and it was like a hit. And I was like, "Oh, okay, wait, maybe this is work out." I was like, but then still, I was like, I still got to get the fuck out of New York because it's like literally like burning cash. But I remember for some reason Kid Rock was at the bar I was hanging out with some buddies, and I was like, hey, when did you like really feel successful? He's like, oh, when I had $25 million.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck. Okay. Jesus Christ.
Like, I'll
Thanks
take
a lot, Kid
tenth
Rock.
of that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, I always, as long as I didn't have to do something I didn't want to do, I always felt successful. And that's the time when Dan and I got into trouble. Was like we burned out because we started agreeing to do stuff we didn't want to do. You know, and at one point, like it's like, you know, this is technically promoting our band and this is enjoyable. You know, but imagine if instead of doing this, we were spending all day in like Universal Studios setting up, waiting around to go perform on like the Spike TV Video Game Awards, which, you know, no one's gonna fucking watch, no one's gonna care. It's not gonna make a difference, and like that's your day. Yep. And that's your day, like, you know, maybe you do that equivalent of that like 100 times in a year. Like you're gonna get burned out quick, you know. So it's like Dan and I have decided to actively only do the things that interest us, you know. So it's
I feel like that's been your MO your guys' entire career, though. You've always
it has
zigged when everyone else is zagging.
It has been, but there's definitely been times when we've been pressured to go, like, you know, like there was this time where we toured Europe 3 times in 1 year.
Whoa.
Which is crazy. It burned us out, you know, and we were just getting pressured by people to go back. And it's not like the European tour isn't fun, but, you know, you just said that you were traveling a lot in the last couple weeks.
Yeah, and that's like not me.
Yeah.
So it was just such a change that it's overwhelming, you know?
So in early 2012, January 2012, we got our final like itinerary for the year. It wasn't even final. It just went through like November. And it was like, here's what you're going to do. Here's your tour. And it was like, you're touring like half of January, all of February, half of March, all of April, half of May, half of June, all of July, all of August, half of September, all of October. It was just like, I was home for like
it's a whole year.
It's a whole year gone. And I looked at that and I was like, holy shit, how am I going to get through that? And of course, like, you know, the fact that we were getting paid money made it easier, was the only reason why someone would do that.
Right.
Because it was like, I was like, I'm not going to see my friends. I'm not going to see my family. I'm not going to be able to progress like personally in any way other than play these shows.
Sure.
And so we did that like 3 different times. And that after like in early 2015, I broke my shoulder. And on like the couple days after New Year's, and we ended up having to cancel like a European tour and an Australian tour. And it was the first time that we just stopped doing anything for 5 or 6 years. And we got through the shows that we had booked that I could still perform at, and we didn't book anything for 2 or 3 years. That time when we just had to stop was when we first were like, oh, we can just stop.
Yeah.
We can take a break. And so then when we came back into playing shows and stuff a couple years later, it's always been like testing the waters so we don't get down that rabbit hole. Because once you open up the floodgates, it's hard to slow it down. It's like those essentially are all good problems to have. But the thing is, it's like, you know, you see musicians all the time dying young, or, you know, just Taylor Hawkins. It's just like,
right.
It's a
grind.
It's a grind, and it's like really mentally like it can be super taxing. And I've never really even toured like with kids. Like now that I have kids, I toured a little bit when my son was like 1, but it's different when your kid's 1 than 3.5.
Right.
you know?
Right.
What do they think about coming seeing you on stage? And
He hasn't seen me perform since he was really little, and he was still like goo goo gaga. But now
that would be a weird feeling as a dad, I'm sure, right?
I don't know. I don't know if I would be worried about him freaking out. But then maybe he'd just be like, watch me play, and he'd probably be like, Dad, do drumsticks have vitamin C? That's the kind of shit he likes to ask me now.
Just
What
random, yeah.
what has vitamin C in
Yeah.
it? I'm like, what the fuck?
Is he watching too much of the news?
He's like,
Is that what we're supposed to be
no,
doing?
I don't watch the news in my house anymore. I stopped doing that. But
smart man.
Smart man.
So when is he gonna get to see you for the first time that he can grasp
I'll take him
what's
to
going
like
on?
I'll probably the Vegas show. We're doing like his first show. He'll be out there.
That's awesome.
It's a good place to break them in.
Yeah,
My wife's like really against like sugar and treats, and I'm like the opposite because I just like really believe in bribing.
Yep.
I just like
smart man.
I try to tell her, I was like, if it weren't for that type of incentive, like I wouldn't ever do anything. Like, do you
Food's
have
the
to?
best positive reinforcement.
Yeah, I was like,
Truthfully.
so I was like, he started to get like noticing soda pop at the store, and he's like, he's noticed that I have like a lot of like beer at the house, and so he's like, he found out there's this thing called root beer, and he's like, can I have some root beer? And I was like, yeah. He's like, when can I have plain old beer?
About 19, 20 years, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's it. I gave him some root beer, and he's like, dude, I was so right. But then 20 minutes after he had it, like I was so wrong.
And you wanted more.
No, he just turned into a complete.
bouncing off the
Yeah,
walls.
yeah. Wouldn't
you-
shut up.
Do you ever at the house, because obviously married to Michelle Branch,
Yeah.
do you guys ever like sit around and compare album sales? Do you ever just like have like
No.
a competition, be like, 2 million, but I mean 10 million, like
Her career is much different than mine because she was like discovered at 16, just based on this demo that she made, and got whisked off to LA, and her story's fascinating. And within a couple of years, it sold millions of albums, and there wasn't much guidance there for her about any of that stuff.
Of course.
And it was just a much different thing.
that Hopeless Romantic record is unbelievable. By the
It
way.
Thanks.
is. It is.
I was gonna ask you
It never even got promoted. It came out, and like literally, like it got like the publicist that was like, "You guys got to go on Good Morning America to promote it." I was like, "It's like that's all just a bunch of pillheads that like watch that shit. Like, who watches Good Morning America? Like, why would you watch Good Morning America unless you're like literally like your kids like." You're feeding your kid. You're depressed. Like, what the fuck? Who watch? It's like that's very low.
That's who we're aiming for.
It's very low IQ TV. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Well,
like,
high IQ obviously is on the
Yeah.
guest list, and with
Well,
White Sox
we're
team.
sitting around
yeah, people are
shit
interested.
talking.
People are interested in them. They want to. That's the thing about podcasts. Like, that's why I said I got into it in 2020 because you couldn't hang out with any friends really.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
Everything was
oh,
on
it's
the
the closest I could feel to like, hanging out with some of my dumbass friends.
What do you listen to podcast wise? Like, what are you into?
I have a little list, but I mean, I'll go through it, but I listen to a lot of history podcasts,
Nice.
but they can get so irritating, so boring.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listen to Rogan, and I like Lex Fridman a lot. Listen to you guys.
How is Rogan in real life?
Rogan's cool.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but.
He books that whole thing himself.
Oh,
That's insane.
100%. Yeah.
Text him, and yeah.
I love that.
Well, that was early on. Like, I feel like that was Rogan was huge, but you guys really hadn't like dove into the podcast world. Like, that was just a spur of the moment thing. He hit you up, and you were like, "Yeah, all right, we'll come through."
Something like that, yeah.
He flew you guys out, right? Because doesn't he do that with all his guests?
No, we fly ourselves out.
You did?
Yeah.
Then, so Rogan what do you take of all that right now?
Oh, the whole
Yeah.
canceling? Oh, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah. We're all in the same boat then.
Yeah, I think everybody is. I mean, there's some people who
Well,
don't.
everybody with the brain.
Well,
Yeah.
some people who don't listen to it are like, he's anti this, anti that. I was like, no, I listen. I was like, no, he's just like, it's like, you know what it is? Rogan, I think it's like listening to it, it's like hanging out with your friend's older brother.
Yep.
And I was like,
100%.
who's
That's
like,
a good way to put it.
wait, your brother like is into UFOs and like boxing and smokes weed? Like, this is cool. And he's nice, and he talks to us.
Yeah.
He's not going to beat our ass or something. You know?
Well, it must be nice to like do an interview.
Actually, everything that I kind of got into as a kid came from my friends' older brothers.
Usually, yeah.
My friend Steve's older brothers were like into electric guitar and The Clash and Dr. Dre, and my friend Gabe's older brother was like this real eccentric dude who's into like conspiracy theories, and like he was telling, he's like, you guys are a bunch of sheeple. He said that to us when we were like in third grade.
Oh my God.
He might be credited with inventing that word.
He wasn't, because he showed
ago.
us the video where there was this conspiracy section at the video store near our house, and we would go and just watch these like
They Live.
near faces of death. There was also this like
Oh my God.
Videos about the tall whites.
I feel like we've been on a real big conspiracy theory kick on this podcast, dude. Do you have any that like you firmly, I don't know if you believe in or something you're into?
Like the moon landing or something. We were talking about this last
I don't
week.
believe in Australia. I don't think Australia's a real place.
I've been there. It's definitely real.
No, you haven't. You were in
He's
southern
a flat
Chile.
earther too.
Southern Chile. I've been there too.
That's right. You've been to the same place.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Australia's not real, but what do you believe in?
Well, I like that. Okay, there's the good conspiracy theory right now for me is that Alex Jones is actually Bill Hicks.
Wait, who's
Ooh,
Bill
I've not
Hicks?
heard that one.
Who's Bill Hicks? What am I missing?
Bill Hicks, he's a comedian, who
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
died.
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
died
yeah,
of pancreatic cancer in like 1993
Whoa.
or 4 or something. But they're both from Texas. They both have the same political agenda. They talk similarly. They look similar.
All right, Dante's going deep down a rabbit hole.
No,
We get
I'm
outta
just
here.
thinking, like, does the timeline match up? Because Alex Jones kind of came on the scene.
It does. There's videos about it. You can go deep.
Is Tupac dead?
Yeah, I mean, the faking your death thing is it's
He had a lot of people after him, though.
intense. But then again, I guess if you were really famous, it would probably be.
I think that'd be sweet to fake to death.
It could be, yeah, very taxing. What was I gonna say? Conspiracy theories. Well, there's plenty that are worthwhile. Yeah, but the crazy thing to me about the Rogan shit is just that he's not like touting some crazy political agenda. He might say some stuff that some people disagree with or whatever, but it's like the act of trying to like silence him or cancel him and then finding all these videos of him, which, some things that you can't justify any reason why he was doing shit, but say everybody fucks up, you know what I mean? But when you see like the numbers behind like his podcast, how many people watch it, and like, and you see who's criticizing him, and it's like, like CNN or whatever, and it's all pharmaceutical ads and shit.
Yeah.
And like, wait a second. And also, then wasn't one of the guys who was just like spouting? Because I used to watch CNN like an addict because my dad's a journalist. I would watch CNN like a fucking addict. And when you're touring overseas, like CNN World is the only English channel you can watch in most places. And they have that 15-minute psycho loop where they add like 10 seconds to it every 15 minutes. And you're like, wait, something new's happened. No, it's not. But dude, watching CNN, I used to have it on, and like, I really first, like during the Flight 370 shit, that's when I was like, wait a second. For fucking 7 months, I've been watching the news. All they've talked about is Flight 370. Nothing has changed. The flight's still gone. No one knows anything. They won't stop talking about it. There's all this other shit happening. What the fuck is going on?
That was a weird one.
It was very weird. And it's no different than the Trump thing. It was like, Trump's going to jail. It's imminent. He's going to file. The dossier is there. It's coming out, blah, blah.
That was
and
every day.
But I was just like, and I'm definitely not a Trump supporter, you know what I mean, at all. But I was like, watch this, like, what the fuck are they fucking talking about? And I talked to my dad, and my dad's like, they're going to be arresting Trump soon. They're coming for him. They have this. And I was like, what the fuck?
What are we talking about?
Like,
dude, seriously. Then
why didn't it happen?
When what was the which Cuomo was on CNN and which Cuomo was the governor?
Andrew.
Yeah,
Andrew.
Chris was on CNN.
Yeah,
Chris
was on
watching
CNN.
Chris sit there and lecture about shit constantly, and then find out that he was like, not really in quarantine and whatever the fuck else was going on.
Remember when he was lifting or fake weights? Do you remember that?
Which one had a mistress that they were seeing the whole time that they were
Andrew.
supposed to be? Yeah.
They're all scum. They're both.
Dude, fuck. I
scumbags.
can't get down with any of that shit. That's why I just turned it off. It's like, you know what? Like,
That's the way to do it. I talk about this regularly. Like when I'm sure Barstool Sports will come to an end one day for me, whether it's tomorrow or 20 years down the road.
Dave told me this morning, and
I would be. I would have Twitter, but like
I have totally new respect for you. But no, tell him what you told me. What your life goal is
to do nothing.
No, you said you wanna cash out in a few years, not some crazy amount of money.
Yeah, just enough to like get a place out in Scottsdale, Arizona, be a snowbird, have my Chicago residence, and like not be so
start a new alias, new life, and just
you'll
disappear.
Henry Hill it. You'll just go out there,
disappear.
But yeah, basically Henry Hill it. I'll be.
Why Scottsdale?
I just love the heat. Yeah. I Chicago. I can't do winters anymore.
You could speed up the process if you just picked like somewhere in Mexico.
Or that. I like Chicago though. I like that quick flight. This is my first time ever in Nashville, and we haven't even done anything yet. We got in this morning, and I could see myself very quickly.
Yeah, so we've got a few hours after this, and then we're going to tour the Gibson warehouse, which is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
What would you recommend?
Mark from Gibson. He's from Akron.
That's our boy.
He's the best.
Agnese's been on the podcast a few times.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's great.
So before we do that, we're going to bounce around and show Dave.
What would I recommend here?
Yeah.
To do? I get the asked that all the time. I mean, Nashville's a place where it's a great place to live. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, there's tons of music always. There's tons of horrible music though too.
Facts. Big time facts.
I'm sure everybody comes to.
I think going to Roberts is essential.
Roberts Western World.
Roberts is essential. I think there's some really good restaurants. Sounds Game would be good, but
Vandy baseball game.
Vandy baseball game. I spent a lot of time in Charleston, South Carolina.
I've never been. I've driven through it, and I've never actually been.
And so I'm so obsessed with Charleston that my mind's always just thinking about there. I would be there now if I could.
Yeah.
You're picking like two major bachelorette cities. Like that's
it's fine.
Yeah. I always think like why Nashville and Charleston like
I
two
have no
spots.
idea.
Well, I think it's because like they're the husband, the groom was like not wanting them to go to Vegas.
I guess that
probably
makes
is what it is. I'll go to Nashville or something. Go somewhere.
I think there's a quaintness to Nashville, like Charleston. Also, you have been down here pretty good amount of time, right? You got down here before the whole Nashville boom.
I've been down here for 12 years. I loved it when I first moved here. Like
I bet
it was pretty desolate in a way. Like downtown, you could go downtown on a Friday night. It was like,
not like that anymore.
Not like that. Yeah, it was like you go to there's a honky tonk called the Wheel that was like just serve you drinks in a plastic cup. No one was ever in there, and it was like this is cool. It felt authentic.
Yeah.
I haven't been downtown in probably 4 or 5 or 6 years. So I don't really go down there. And then there are other places to go, like East Nashville, where we are. Yep. This is a cool spot, but it's a drag for me to get here. So I ended up like when I do go out or something, I go to a friend's house usually or something.
Yeah, just kick it.
I got a choice for you: Prince's or Hattie B's.
This is a decision we're making after this. That's where we're gonna go eat.
Right. So you're picking our lunch spot for us. I was told Hattie B's.
The answer is Hattie B's. Partially, and the answer is Prince's partially.
Ooh.
But I think for flavor, it's the same.
Okay.
For if you want the experience of going to the real deal, you have to go to Prince's. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking to like not kill 2 hours, you go to Hattie B's.
Right.
Convenience.
We're just gonna have to do both.
Yeah, I think that's probably what we're gonna have to.
Well, the place
is Hattie B's like the Portillo's version, like it's kind of corporate, and Prince's is the like mom and pop.
Bolton's
like
is right here. Right.
Bolton's is good too.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Let's go there. That's the OG. That's like the hipster.
We're gonna
spot.
have to have like 3 chicken sandwiches.
We're going to Bolton's then. I like that. I've religiously been a Hattie B's guy. I like Prince's, but we should do Bolton's.
Bolton's. Sean Brock, the chef.
Yeah.
He lives here now. He has a burger spot called Joyland. I would recommend that.
Okay, cool.
The crust burger, he calls it.
You're gonna die before.
Yeah, these are some good recommendations.
But yeah, I think I'm trying to think. My favorite spot. I don't blow it up, but it is Dino's on the east side.
Best hell burger, yeah, Dino's the shit. Yeah, I walked by there this morning.
But it's like that's the thing. It's like the place can comfortably hold about 150 people, and like every time I've been in there and there's like a line, I'm just like,
Best burger.
Fuck it, I'll
They
just hang
show
out.
your order over on a mic.
Oh, so it's one of
like
those
It's an
Red
old school
Baskets.
diner.
Yeah,
I mean, I used to go there when it was still run by Dino, who was this like pretty surly dude, and like he had the flat top grill, and like he's just kind of a dickhead. And
Did
That's
you
what
like
I
him,
want
though?
my surly
Did you like him though?
I mean, it just felt like
He was the burger Nazi, like Seinfeld.
No, I just was like, this doesn't seem very happy. But he had this like, he had a secret sauce that he put the burgers on. I was like, what is it, Worcestershire? He's like,
Motherfucker.
clearly it's what it is. It's like, it's not
Never
soy
let that.
sauce,
I mean, that's
it's
not even
black.
Worcestershire sauce. I said that right? Worcestershire.
Worcestershire.
That was close enough.
Yeah,
That's like very, very commonly used to like soak in burgers.
Yeah.
exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. His secret
yeah.
sauce. But also, there's this place in Akron. I'm like a kind of a burger. Akron's like a burger place.
He's the Cleveland guy.
I didn't
It was
want
a
to.
hot dog town.
No. I'm not a Cleveland guy.
Well,
I
you
have
got your-
places there, but I wanted to also throw out another question for you. So Akron is known, in my opinion, for three things:
Okay.
LeBron James,
Yep.
Okay.
the Black Keys,
Steve Stone.
and Swenson's.
Yeah.
How would you rank those three?
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Swenson's is number one.
Yeah,
What is Swenson?
Yeah, what's-
dude? It is
Yeah.
the best. It's an old school burger drive-in place.
Sweet.
They have an endless supply of kids, high school kids, that sprint to your car the minute you park and take your order and sprint back to the restaurant.
You get fired if you don't run to the car.
They're running like
Suicides.
like
in
they're
high
on
school.
fire to your car and back. It's
Like
it's
there's
crazy.
snipers watching them. Like if they're not
Yeah.
going fast enough, you're getting picked.
And the burgers are fire.
Dude, Akron has so many crazy burger spots. It's not normal. But growing up there, I was just like, you take it for granted, you know what I mean? But there's a place called Swenson's, right? And it's like you drive in. It's been there since like 1934. And of course, there's this place in Connecticut called like Steve's Lunch or something. It claims to have invented the burger, right? And I call bullshit on this because if you order the burger, it's 2 pieces of white bread with a slice of tomato. And I'm like, where the fuck are you
fuck
getting your
is this,
tomato
dude?
in 1903? Except you couldn't have the tomato except for fucking like in Connecticut in August. In July you could have you couldn't have. That's not how you fucking.
You
serve
imported
the thing.
that shit.
Well, what the fuck? It's bullshit.
I never
declared
thought of
it
that.
war.
This
Yeah,
is why I
it's
like
right.
him,
It's
because
glaringly
this is the kind
obvious.
of shit that I care about.
Dude, it's
This is what
tomato,
I care
fresh
about.
tomato on the burger.
you
I
guys
don't
are
know.
birds of a feather, dude.
I don't care about music and baseball and all that
Just so
shit.
you
Like,
know,
why did they lie about their
The burger comes from Akron, dude. Trust me on that. It actually comes from Canton, but the toppings on a burger, if you say I want it with everything in Akron it's onion, pickle, and mustard. All 3 things that you can get year round.
Yeah.
So that's it. That solves the riddle. I mean, that's the fucking thing.
That's
right
the thinking man's breakdown right there.
God damn.
I never thought of that.
Yeah.
So other conspiracy theory is,
But
the
also
burger
that
was not
combo,
vetted.
that combo is what you get anywhere you go in Akron. You say I want a burger with everything. It's that pickles.
The other
onions,
weird thing about that
mustard.
Steve's Luncheon place, they like boil. They don't boil them, but they cook them in like cupcake trays. So the burgers are in those little cupcake slots, and they bake them. They come out. It's not grilled like Swenson's.
disgusting.
But yeah,
I've seen that before on like Instagram.
So Swenson's 1. Who's 2?
You or LeBron James?
I guess we're gonna have to say LeBron, aren't we?
Too modest, bro.
I think Devo would be 2 for me.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
you didn't know Devo was from Akron?
No.
I did.
I would say Devo, Chrissy Hind.
Chrissy Hines from Akron?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The modern golf ball is from Akron too. I mean,
How many dimples?
I don't know. 380.
It's some weird number, but every golf ball has the exact same amount. It's like 143 or some.
Did you do a
random
Chrissy
number.
Hine record?
Dan did.
Dan did.
Yeah.
What? Man, you guys have done some incredible shit production wise.
Yeah.
And having you two on the same records, like in a room, does it ever clash? Like, do you guys, production style wise, I feel like I can pick you two apart. Like having 2 producers in the same band, does it get frustrating at times?
No, we do have different styles, but when we work together, it works well. It works well. Dan likes to cut records with full bands,
Yep.
and he likes it. He's definitely got his own thing dialed in, and we've because it's just the two of us. We kind of learned to do it a little differently.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I feel like the song "Wild Child" off the new record is a good example of the two of us working very well together, doing both the things. But you know, we learned to make records together, so I love making music with him. And you know, he's got this label Easy Eye, and you know, he's putting out tons of cool records. And I think if you take the amount of records that we've made together, the records he's made solo, his Easy Eye stuff, the stuff I've produced, like I counted them up a couple months ago, and it was like 65 albums or something.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's a lot of fucking music.
You guys been busy.
Busy.
Yeah.
So I was flying. I don't even know where I was flying to, which sounds kind of cool to say to a couple torn musicians. But I watched the not Leonard Skinner, the ZZ Top documentary that's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Now it's a couple years old, like 2019 or 2020.
Yeah. I've seen it.
Billy Gibbons.
Yeah.
How is he? I mean, he's
dope.
God of rock.
He's dope. Yeah.
Coolest motherfucker alive.
He's the coolest.
What were those sessions like?
He just came in for an hour for this record. He stopped in to Dan's studio.
Was that in Nashville?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was like this was last summer. About this.
Mm-hmm.
It was in June of last year. He was in town for something, and he stopped in, and we just jammed.
Yeah.
You know, and we ended up with like 3 or 4 things that could be songs, but the one that made the record, the song that, like the whole structure, we just improvised, and then Dan put bass on it. I put some percussion on it. Our friend Sam added some percussion, and then it was just done. I mean, the way we make music usually goes pretty fast, but we'd been in the studio with Billy before. Rick Rubin asked us to go in the
Just
studio.
name dropping Rick
Yeah,
Rubin.
Nah.
It's a Nashville moment.
Rick Rubin asked us to come to his studio in 2010. This is right before Brothers came out. We were out there working with RZA.
Was this Black Rock?
This is after we did Black Rock. We did a whole nother record with RZA. And it never got finished because we were burning the candle too
Wait a
much.
minute.
Wait.
Does this exist?
It exists, but it's not that good.
Well, isn't RZA an Ohio guy, kinda?
RZA spent a lot of time in Ohio.
His mom lives in Steubenville, I think.
Yeah, he owned like a Boy Scout camp down there that he had privately like.
He
filmed.
shouts out Steubenville randomly. And
Yeah. He mentioned it. He's such an interesting guy. He was like, yeah, he's like, I used to own a Boy Scout camp and I lived it. We used to film horror films down there.
Wait, so how did this session go? What, like,
Well, we done a couple songs we made this record called Black Rock, which is like Dan and I made the music, and we would have rappers come in, and Dame Dash helped us kind of get the rappers in the studio, and we made a couple songs. Some of that we did some stuff with Raekwon and
Mos Def, Jim
Def,
Jones.
Mos Def, Jim Jones, and RZA. You know, with Dan, I was obsessed with Wu-Tang growing up, and still. And so he came in, and we wrote with RZA. We made the songs together, and we want to do more. So we went to LA in February of 2010, and we did some stuff with Billy. We went into the studio and just jammed. But we were working all night with RZA, going into the studio in Malibu. We were just like basically driving all the time, and not sleeping. Nothing came from the stuff with Billy. But I remember we were in there, and Rick was doing this thing where he's like he lays down like on a couch and just like okay, jazz. Now think jazz, and that wasn't really effective for us. But but at the time I was like, Billy, I was like, I really can't stop listening to this. Train Kept a Rolling, like the original version of it. And he's like, oh yeah. I'm drawing a blank right now. Who did Johnny Burnett? Oh, and he's like, oh yeah, and he started fucking ripping the fucking Train Kept a Rolling. He's like, yeah, you used to play the 2 octave strings at the same time, the E, low E, high E, and I was like, dude, this hearing him play, I was like, fucking hell. And I feel like, in a way, Lonely Boy mentally kind of stemmed from like that riff.
I was just that whole album.
It's just like, because I remember when we went back in the studio, Dan and I was like, dude, that there's something there. Like, Dan started riffing on, and then I had him plug in this octave pedal, and I just stepped on it at the last, or I pushed my hand on it in the last note, and it went. And I'm like, that's the thing.
That's one of the things I love about your sound is the lo-fi. I don't know, quality.
What comes from RZA, really? That's the sonic thing. Was like growing up listening to. I listened to the music that RZA sampled because my dad was like way into soul music.
Really?
He was obsessed with Stax, and my dad saw Otis Redding play in Akron with this guy Howard Tate opening, and I got way into all those records. And so when I first heard like Wu-Tang Clan, I was like, oh yeah, I recognized quite a bit of the samples. You know, what I mean, not all of them, but quite a bit. And I think I see like that where it's coming from. And then I got into like indie rock, like Pavement and stuff like that. John Spencer, Blues Explosion, Beck, Modest Mouse. And I was like, oh yeah, the sonics that I like are this kind of crunchy, but the cool thing about the RZA stuff is like kind of crunchy but big as fuck too. It took us a long time to figure out how to do that. You know, if you listen to our first couple records, it's just crunchy. And it wasn't until I guess working with Danger Mouse, learning how to get it to be a little bit more big. But Chad Blake, this guy we used to mix, he's kind of responsible for a lot of that too. Because like that's the kind of thing that I found like we started getting better at making music when we started letting people help us. And it's like the hardest thing to do is like to let people in. And we tried early on. Like early on, we made this record, the big come up. We made it ourselves. We didn't know what we were doing. We made it in this house I lived in, you know, in the real rough part of Akron. It was like a shithole house.
In the basement, right?
We made it in the basement, but we would like, I had this little digital recorder. We would take it around to different rooms, plug it into my roommate's stereos to try to mix it, trying to figure out how things actually sounded. It was hard to figure out what, you know, and anyway, it sounds interesting. It sounds cool. And soon after that, we started getting some people sniffing around, like wanting to help us. And this one guy flew us to Berkeley, California, to go record on his like vintage Neve, and he was gonna produce us. And honestly, I still don't know how the recordings sounded. I have them, but I haven't listened to them anytime recently. But I was like, while we were making it, recording for 2 days with this guy, I was like, this is amazing. It sounds amazing. And we landed back in Cleveland and put the CDR in the car, and our girlfriends were with us, and they're like, this sounds like shit. So they're like, you guys, this isn't you, blah, blah. And we got really self-conscious and really weird. And we're like, and it was weird because we're 22 years old. Yeah. So like, I think your ego kind of gets sparked and all this other shit, and you get really insecure. And I've seen it now since I've been producing records for, 20 years or, a lot. Since then, I see it all the time. I can recognize it like that in a band. Like, this band, they've got to get turned out, essentially. Like, they have to get out of their shell, or maybe they're not ready for it. Mm-hmm. But you can only do so much. And ultimately, like, we just made stuff on our own until the point where we felt like we couldn't progress it anymore without help. And at that moment, like, Danger Mouse had kind of entered the scene. He approached us and basically, put us through production school, songwriting school. He taught us a lot.
That's awesome. That was for Attack and Release,
which is a record that started. We were writing this record. It was going to be like a record for Ike Turner. We were going to play the music. He was going to sing it. He's going to play guitar, some guitar. And we have some final versions of it.
He died, right?
He died, but before he died in December of 2007. But it was like March or April of 2007. We were like been working on the same for like 3 months. I called Brian Danger Mouse. I was like, dude, can you just produce our record? We use these songs. He understood that we needed to get going. We needed to make money and work and shit. So yeah, he came to Cleveland. He came to Painesville, Ohio, to this cool old studio that was built by the guy that invented. This house was built by the guy that invented baby formula. That's his summer retreat.
Where's he at now?
He died a long time ago. But this house was bought by this guy, Paul Haman, and his father Ken. They like had this cool recording studio in Cleveland, and they had this place out there that they recorded like all these crazy punk records and stuff. And we worked there. And then it was like the next record. brothers, we kind of produced it ourselves. We had a friend come engineer it. Danger Mouse did one song, but sonically, it didn't really all come together until we sent it to this guy Chad Blake to mix it. He's pretty notorious mixing engineer, producer in his own right. He's worked on music for a long time. I think like getting his perspective, finding the person that you can let be creative on your own work is just always gonna.
That's
so
life
much
changing.
Yeah, it's life changing, but it's hard to find the right people. It's hard to give them enough freedom. With Chad, it was like I think we got to the point where like just I had heard some of his mixes where they were really kind of fucked up sounding, and my instructions to Chad were basically like, do whatever you want and make it sound as fucked up as you want it to be. And so he sent back Howlin' For You, and we had a mix of this song before, and it just was like. Dude, it felt like Isley Brothers like song.
I love it because
he said it back. It sounded like fucking like. I was like, oh, it felt like, 3-dimensional.
Yeah, and it's like it's that old analog sound, which stands out so much more today because everything is so.
I was listening to a lot of like.
agree
I was
with
listening to
that,
like clear the beat comes from like Rock and Roll Part 2 essentially,
Yes.
but like. This is like also like Brian Eno, like Needle in the Camel's Eye. Like there's like something warm and crazy sonically about that stuff, but I've wanted it to be like bigger. You know what I mean? And Chad was like able to get that sub bass happening and the crunch and everything. It was crazy. He was, but yeah, that was game changing.
I mean, so many records. I ran the music at Wrigley since they installed the scoreboards there. They hired a DJ, and I got to be the guy. And I mean, so many of your guys' joints are just such great stadium anthems.
So we need more of that. We need that's what when we made Howlin' For You, it was like straight up. That was like kind of the thought. Like, oh, this would be cool if they have a song played at a baseball game or something. Because we had previous to that we had found out that the guys that ran our management company that we used to be with, like, they're huge baseball fans, huge White Sox fans, and
Disgusting.
And they were like, oh yeah, here's the list of every Q Prime artist that has here's the Major League Baseball players that are using our artists for walkout music, and I was like, oh shit, we had somebody was using like Thick Freakness one year.
Fuck yeah.
What would your walkout music be if you were?
I played baseball in college. You want to know what it was?
Where'd you play?
North Central College, D3.
Okay.
So we played like Mount Union and was Otter Bean out there, Northeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Played those schools. Mine was Like a Pimp remix by David Banner. It was actually sweet.
Return of the Mac.
It's a great sample.
Return of the Mac would be mine. I have no reason why. I think it's where I would go. Howlin' For You by the Black
Did you play
Keys.
baseball?
Not
Like in high school?
I'm in like in Little League.
What was your
yeah.
walkout music, be?
What would mine be? I'd probably go for something like that would just be more of a psychological attack.
That's what I'm saying. Return of the Mac would fuck
Like
you up.
I would come out like dead straight face with the Macarena playing. Just walk slow.
Well, he used to fuck with Anthony Rizzo.
Yeah.
Play like Barbie Girl and shit.
We did some weird stuff now and then with him.
Oh yeah, the Barbie girl. Yeah, that just put walk out very slow.
I would go with Jumpstart My Heart.
Yeah,
Kickstart My Heart.
Kickstart My Heart by the Crew.
I feel like it's a classic.
Great opening riff, fast.
It's super fast. Yeah. It gets you ready to fucking.
It's like double time.
You know I'm a Philly dickhead, so I'm probably going to come out to Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill. Like, that's probably what I'm going to do. I sang that song at my wedding.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it was
That is embarrassing.
terribly embarrassing.
That is
There's video
embarrassing.
of it, too. It's really bad.
Dude, that's actually if you and your wife are like driving down the street and like one of her songs or one of your songs come on and you're going to get burgers, is it like instant turn off the radio or turn the station?
Great question.
That is a
Or
great
is
question.
it like, oh hey, let's listen to ourselves even though we hear ourselves every day?
Let's hear both versions too.
I was at the grocery store a couple days ago with my son, and one of Michelle's songs came on, and I was like, oh, and I know he never had heard it because she doesn't play any of her music, and I was like, do you recognize who this is? And he's like, no. I was like, this is mommy. He's like, mommy singing? I was like, yeah. He was like, he looked He knows I play music, but yeah, Michelle's kind of
Yeah.
quiet about it. She sings to him all the time, but I don't think he knows. But yeah, for me, if I hear my music on the radio, I turn it up.
Do
Turn it
you?
up.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's such a baller move.
Well, not like if I put the windows up and turn it up.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, you
yeah,
don't want to
I
be that
did
guy
this.
who gets pulled up next to. And,
Hell no.
That's
Actually,
a
or
Johnny
sort of you
Drama
do.
move.
That's like
yeah.
no, I'm listening to hear how it sounds on the radio. It does sound different.
It does usually. I mentioned it very, very briefly earlier, but Eastbound and Down. Like Kenny Powers is a hero to me.
Oh yeah.
That makes a
We
lot of
actually
sense.
just interviewed Craig Robinson. Did you get to yuck it up with any of those guys, or they just like, hey, can we play your music in our show? And
We got to meet Danny years ago. I actually just had dinner with him and his family a couple months ago.
Amazing.
He lives in Charleston. Yeah, he's hilarious. He's a great guy. And
That's
dude,
a
genius. But
crazy,
yeah,
yeah.
I was like after dinner, I was like, I feel weird even like texting him because I'm like, it's like a fanboy.
right.
yeah.
Like, I don't think he maybe doesn't realize like how much I'm fanboying out, but I started getting way into golf a couple years ago, and like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and like start figuring out like how to hit the driver is like the most frustrating club, and then I discovered like there's this whole like long driving like league.
Oh,
People
yeah.
that just- and I was like that would be a very good Danny McBride vehicle.
For a movie, yeah.
The long drivers, because this dude, it's like the most pointless thing you could do sports wise is just be able to hit a ball like 475 yards.
That's a Kenny Powers
And like
activity.
not and like just suck the rest of golf.
Yeah.
Like you can't chip, you can't putt, but
And some characters are in there.
oh my
Oh,
god,
yeah,
they're all
dude.
characters, dude. It's like, dude, I kind of think he might need to consider it.
That's a great.
God,
That-
executive producer credits.
We might have to edit that out so someone doesn't steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it's
brilliant.
free game. I had a really good idea. Oh man, god damn.
Give us all your ideas right now, dude.
What's the best idea you've ever had?
Okay, I have an idea, and this is a real thing. I have a sock company, and it's called Dude Your Team Socks. And we haven't launched it yet, but it's launching in a couple weeks. But yeah, I just was like, I want striped socks that kind of are similar colors to the teams I like. And so we just selected Pantones that are just slightly off from all the teams. It was like, yellow and green. What team could that be? I don't know. St. Vincent, St. Mary,
Yeah.
LeBron James, or any other team that's fucking yellow and green. So yeah, that's my idea. My company, Dude Your Team Socks.
I love it.
Yeah.
This is really coming out?
Dude, it's real.
You're not wearing socks right now.
Yeah, that's
know.
not very good marketing
It's not-
for your new company.
I like how you.
I this is how you know I'm a dad, because I
Oh,
used to
yeah.
only be like jeans and boots, and then I was like,
you got
know
the
what?
New Balances?
I was like, okay, I was
Nike Air
I was
Monarchs.
like repressed. I was like repressed. I was like a full-fledged dork, like just happy to dress like a dad, because I just don't fucking care anymore.
I love it. I
Oh,
love
Kenny
it.
Carkeet
Kenny-
is here in spirit.
I know.
That's
too bad
Kenny-
Kenny's not
I do
here.
care. I do care. That's the thing is,
No,
I don't
we
care.
get
I
it,
just
yeah.
don't. I just don't care enough about
Yeah.
that.
You got no one to impress anymore.
I just like. I think about the dude in Big Lebowski a lot,
What's his
and I
name?
think about like
The dude.
The dude.
Not the dude.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
about what that dude's choices are, and I like them.
You want to get fucked up on White Russians after this?
That drink being your drink really is a powerful choice.
It's a powerful choice.
I can't do him.
I love them from Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Yeah.
That is a rule in my house.
I love that. I love that.
So, follow up to Dave's question: what is one of the worst decisions?
Yeah, that's a
you've
good
made?
one.
About work.
Yeah,
Music
you
or
don't
life?
get
Yeah,
too,
we
you
don't
don't
have to get too
too
existential
personal.
here, but yeah, work decisions.
I don't regret
Where
it.
you look back now and you laugh your ass off at it, but you're like, oh man, did I fuck up?
I don't really have one yet.
Good.
That is good.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys haven't made that record yet that you're like, that's the outlier record that's like they were going for something totally different. I feel like
Oh, no.
you guys have grown.
That's a good thing about being in a band with someone that you've known since you were like 9 years old. Is
Yeah.
that like, you know what I mean? I remember we call each other on our shit so much that like keeps you kind of, it keeps you within
Little grounded.
orbit of reality.
And honest, right?
You guys ever thrown hands?
No.
No.
Really?
Not. I mean, you guys are basically brothers.
Dan
beat the
definitely
shit out of my
Dan got
younger brother.
way into MMA or like UFC, watching it for a minute, and I think he did put me in a submission move. But it was per request by me to see, and I was like, I tapped.
Oh, you asked for it.
I was like, what the fuck's that? And,
Triangle choke you.
Did you guys ever have that wow, we made it moment where you were just in the moment, like, I can't believe we get paid to do this?
yeah, I mean, I definitely remember, like, and actually one of them was in Chicago, like, just like headlining Lollapalooza.
That's a good enough.
I was there. It was like my senior year of college, or I was in college. Was it 2005?
When we headlined, it was 2012. So we played there a lot before then. We played there a lot, and we played there 2 years prior, a year prior. Maybe it was 2010. We played there with the Strokes went on after us, but
I
still,
think that's the one I'm
wow.
talking about. That was 2010.
We're
that's
so fucking old, man.
Yeah, 2012 we headlined, and right before I was really nervous. You know what I mean? We're about to go on stage, and there's like 75,000 people watching our stage, and I was like, "Fucking hell!" And Ron Manuel was backstage.
Dante's boy.
Yeah, we were just not just with them.
And the dude, he came back. He's like, he was going to announce this, and I shook his hand, and I was like, he's missing some fingers. His hand didn't feel normal, and I was like, "What's up?" He's like, I was like, "What?" And I was just like so nervous. I was just like, "What happened to your hand?" And he's like, "I cut some finger. I had an accident when I was a teenager, and I lost some fingers." And I was like, "How?" He's like, I was working at Arby's. And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, I cut him off in a meat slicer." And so, dude, the whole show, the only thing that kept me from freaking out on stage was this like this. I kept thinking like, "Hey, Ron Manuel worked at Arby's." And I was like, and then that guy was like, and I was like, and he cut his fingers off at Arby's. And then I went, and then I was like, you know, it's fucked up. At one point, people at Arby's cut meat because they definitely don't do that anymore.
Not even close.
I like
So you're in
that.
front of like 120,000 people, and you're there. Everybody's freaking out, and you're like,
I'm thinking about the meat,
works at Arby's?
the meat supply chain for Arby's. Because the meat couldn't be cut there anymore. There's no way.
No. That's all frozen,
Dude, that's
prepackaged,
awesome.
shipped
That's
in.
like a Larry David moment
you,
right there.
you
Yeah.
lived the Curb Your Enthusiasm moment.
Yeah.
I lived it. Well, it's good to take your mind off of it. You know, there's certain things in life where it's good to take your mind off of the present.
Just ask,
you know what I mean?
one of the major third biggest city's mayor.
Yeah.
Well, he's just like, you
Why is
know,
his hand fucked up?
it's like, yeah, it's like music is one of those things where it's a fine line for me. It's like you don't want to think about what you're doing too much, but you don't want to realize that you're not thinking about what you're doing either.
right.
So I think that's the mind game is like, oh yeah, the mind game is like finding your thought for the night of what will keep you distracted. You know, and so
Can I ask you?
that was a blessing. Yeah, the Arby's.
Can I ask you a question? I've always wanted to ask you. I always thought to myself, if I ever got to meet the Black Keys, I'd love to ask this question. Was that performance at the MTV Video Music Awards with Aerosmith kind of weird?
It wasn't with Aerosmith. It was with Johnny Depp.
But Aerosmith was there.
They announced us. Yeah.
I remember like watching that, and like there was like a speech that went on before it where they like called you guys like future rock gods or something like that.
I couldn't hear it. See, that's the thing about on stage. Like you can't, like, unless it's coming through the monitors, right? You can't hear what anybody's saying.
Yeah.
We were on stage the other day. We were doing an interview for like iHeartRadio or something, and it was like the guy was interviewing me with a microphone on stage. But this shit, I was like, I just like, excuse me. It's like I can't hear what you're saying. It was so uncomfortable. But yeah, I don't know. That was a weird thing. We performed at the MTV Movie Awards in 2012. That was that year where like we had said like, you know, you talk about embarrassing things. Have you done it? I mean, I think that we had basically said we'll agree to do pretty much anything within reason, rather than say no, preemptively. Like if we haven't done it, we'll try it. So that's where we did like a lot of stuff that I don't regret doing, but I would probably never do it again. You know what I mean? But like, I don't, you know, getting to play on stage at the MTV Movie Awards. That you know, they wanted a celebrity to play with us, so Johnny Depp could come up and we're like, yeah, that's fine, let's play with Johnny Depp.
Was he cool?
very cool.
He's actually a decent guitar player.
Yeah, I didn't even.
Yeah, I just thought it was a trip because like you know, like it was like, you know, here I am like at the time on stage I had this thing where it's like I'm only wearing blue button-down shirts because I can just have them for like $40 from J. Crew, and like I can roll the sleeves up and like fuck it, it's just kind of like my Jetsons look.
Yeah.
And so I basically dressed as like I look like a clerk at Kinko's, and these dudes were like fucking dude. Like I was watching after the show, watching Johnny Depp, Steven Tyler, and Joe Perry all stand next to each other, dude, with like progressively more flair.
Yeah, all
just like so more and more rings and scarves. It was like, dude, it was like it started Joe Perry. Joe Perry had like, you know, just one ring on each finger, one scarf. And then Steven Tyler had, you know, and then Johnny Depp was just like, here's all my shit. Bandanas wrapped around their wrists, like just ready to go.
And then
Like
you
you
looked in
work
the
at
mirror
Geico.
and you had all of it on too. You're like, how the fuck did I get here?
What if they would have been like, hey, you got to go if you're going out on stage with us, you got to dress like us,
Like a pirate.
like yeah, basically like a pirate. Even though that's not you, would you have sucked it up and done it, or would you have been like, fuck off?
I wouldn't have been able to do it.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember ever seeing this. I can't wait to pull this up.
I know.
after
I
this
haven't
and
seen
watch
Collins
this.
talking about.
Well, that's the thing.
Iron
That's the sad thing about like our careers, that we got to do all this stuff when it didn't matter anymore.
It was pre.
Dude, it was
no, but it was like
internet
pre-social
boom,
media.
But
like,
after like the MTV.
Well, I mean, like, what-
Twitter was still there.
Well, MTV,
Yeah.
no, I mean, MTV movie awards haven't mattered since like 1992, probably, or something.
You guys
know
aren't
what
performing this year, right?
I mean? No.
All right, cool. Then we can say whatever we want now. Yeah, no.
Well, I mean, I'm saying like that stuff when you were a kid, when there was only like
that was the shit.
it was
when
huge.
yeah, it was huge. It was like oh yeah, like. But now it's like, you know, being on Saturday Night Live was like, dude, that was like the end all be all.
That's still pretty big, though.
It's big, but it doesn't compare to what it was.
I
Dude,
feel like-
dude, the viewership is like
Minuscule.
minuscule compared to it.
I know, but I feel like today it's more of an honor to be the musical guest than it is to
The
be
host.
the host.
Yeah.
Because
Really,
yeah, I think it's still a big
I
platform
still
for
watch it.
premiering
I
songs.
still watch it every week. I still love the show.
What do you think about them they're switching out cast and shit like that?
It just made me feel old because the last time we were on was like Pete Davidson's first year, Kyle Mooney's first
You
year.
guys haven't been on since then?
We haven't been on since 2014.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because the night before we went on, like Dan went out really late. I was like, he definitely used all of his serotonin. He could not experience happiness that following day.
What is considered the coolest thing now?
It's because his girlfriend was like, "We never go out anymore.
Oh, so
we
you-
don't,
all right,
we don't
well,
go out." And
well, yeah.
I did that night. I was like, "You're an idiot." I think not to Dan, to his girlfriend, clearly. I think you're an idiot. I think you pressure this guy to go out. Like you could go out 364 of these days, but you chose last night, the night before we go out
on the biggest
Saturday Night
biggest
Live.
show. Yeah,
Yeah, she's an idiot. They're no longer together, so it's
chicks.
fine.
Oh, we
chicks,
said
man.
it,
Yeah.
Chicks
What were you gonna say though?
I was gonna say, so the shit that we thought was cool when we were kids is no longer like that big of a deal. Like, what do you consider like to be like, if I got to do this, that would be that fucking, like, that would be the coolest thing in the world? Like, it's tough. Like, I don't think that there is one singular
Nothing makes me
platform
happy.
anymore. Yeah, nothing makes me happy anymore.
Nothing makes me happy.
No.
I think for me, if I was able to progress my golf game, playing like
Fuck
There you
yeah.
go.
a pro-am thing would be big for me. Like
yeah.
a Pebble
What's your
Beach.
handicap right now?
I keep fucking with my swing. So when I settle into it, it's like 12.
Okay,
That's good.
so you're good.
Or,
You're
well,
good.
but that's playing from like shorter tees, like blue tees.
Do you play Troubadour here?
I haven't yet, but I would say that if I was playing like a typical thing, I'm still
It's gonna ruin.
struggling to break 90.
I mean, that's still
that's
awesome.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For just being a fuck around golfer, that's like.
Although,
insane.
but this is the thing is the challenge of that thing, and like I feel like I'm going to because I have speed in my swing. It's just consistency, finding it, and it's challenging. It's just challenging enough.
right.
It's the kind of thing that like I get a big kick out of it. It's like I don't know. It's weird for me because when I finally
You got
got
a little goal to reach, you know.
when I finally got into it, I was like, this is so hard, so frustrating, and then that was what I was like, this is really fucking hard. And then that was the whole appeal to me. I was like, this is like the ultimate fucking challenge.
It's so mental.
It's so fucking mental.
And the
dude.
crazy thing to know, I know certain golfers who like lie about their handicap to get it way high so they can go like sandbag their fucking
That's exactly yeah.
and I was like that. So I was like, I'm not competitive like that. So my competitive nature is more like, it's perfect for me because it's more, you're competing against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like, I started reading the Ben Hogan book. My friend Courtney, he's always like, you should read this. You should like figure out the guide to the better swing. And of course, like I can't digest the whole thing at once. So then I went out golfing the other day and I just played like absolute shit. Like it was like the worst golf game I've had in like a year. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, that's it. This is the whole game. It's like, you're just trying to, in order to improve, you have to destroy the whole thing each time. It's like, you know, fucking starting from scratch. It's crazy. But I went and hit balls today and it was like back to where it should be.
There you go.
Are you bringing clubs on tour?
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Oh, that's yeah. That's
So you're hooked. You're
hooked.
I'm so hooked.
I wish I could get it.
I thought that's why you.
I don't have the money to do it.
Dave gets torched online for his golf swing, too.
It's crazy too because I'm actually not that bad. Like I'll golf once or twice a year, and
Swings
I'll
out
be
of
like
shoes.
around 100 to 105. But I'll smoke a drive, and then I'll just duff the next two shots, and then I'll put one within 5 feet of the green, and I'll 2-put or
Dude,
5 foot
I
of the
think
pin. and I'll
I think
2-put.
having kids is what kind of for me. It's like not having a day job.
Mm-hmm.
So having free time during the day, during the week, because I have help with the kids during the week,
Right.
during the day, and I don't, you know, like I was like, that's my time. I was like, what do I do? Golf was just like, I could go
golf, yeah.
golfing. So,
You don't need anybody. Just
So you got time, man. I didn't
Yeah.
get into it. I was like, but yeah, now I'm fucking addicted to it.
If you could golf with anybody, who would you golf with?
alive or dead.
Alive or dead?
Bill Murray, probably.
Oh,
a good choice.
That's a great choice.
Good choice.
I've actually met him. He's the nicest guy on the planet.
Well, actually, my brother sat behind him. I sat right next to him for Game 7 of the World Series.
sorry.
In Cleveland.
In Cleveland.
That was
Oh,
Dude, directly
Yeah.
behind Bill Murray and his brother. And
that was the worst day of my life.
I,
And probably is.
And yours, I'm sure.
I told you, you guys are birds of a fucking feather.
It was brutal.
Billy Corgan was right behind me from Smashing Pumpkins.
We have so many stories about Billy Corgan on this podcast.
Corgan was like, he was like, you owe me an apology. I sat down. He's like,
This is exactly, and he would fold his hands like
he's
that
like,
too.
you owe me an
Yeah.
apology. And I showed up with my dad, my stepdad, my brother. This is like a family. This is like my closest people in the world to me
Yeah.
to go watch maybe the most magical night. And you owe me an apology. Like a fucking salty ass rock star. And I was like, what? And I like made a joke about Jack White or something because this whole thing happened where Jack had like basically, you know, tried to start some shit with me. And I was like, called him out for it. But I was like, and I said something that I thought was funny at the time, but doesn't even make sense. But I was like, yeah, Jack's about as interesting as Billy Corgan's Zero t-shirt or something. Or something like that. But
Got back to him.
yeah, because he's like, you owe me. You said my shirt wasn't interesting. I was like, dude.
He was probably
and he
really
had,
offended.
dude, he had this like he had this like hoodie on over him. But dude, I ended up apologizing to him because I was like, yeah, I should, well, you know, whatever. I get it. I was like, I actually hurt this guy's feeling. It's like sometimes you don't realize you actually hurt someone like that's feeling. And then I was like, and here we are at Game 7 at the fucking World Series, and he's sitting next to his manager. Of all the people in the world, he's with his manager. I was like, that's. You know what I mean? That's sad as fuck to me.
Yeah, why are
honestly.
you- that's-
There's no
he's a
boy. He doesn't have
born-bred
a best
Cubs
friend.
fan.
The kid he grew up watching
Yeah.
things with, his brother, his cousin. He's just there's his manager. Dude, it's sad. And I was like, dude, that. And I was like, fuck. And so I was watching Bill Murray in front of me with his brother. He had like, I think a lot of his family. They kept rotating in and out of these seats. And they were having a blast. I was like, dude, that's the key, man. It's like, that's what I really respect about like Murray families is that their brothers.
Super
They're
nice,
actual people.
Dude, but his brother John was in front of me, and he had like his font like on his text was like way high, so I could like read his phone. And he was sending a text that said, "What's the score? I'm so drunk I can't read the scoreboard." And I was like, these people are fucking amazing.
Yeah, that would be a fun round. That would be a very fun round.
Fill out your foursome. So it's you, Bill Murray. Give me two other people.
I know it's such a cheap answer, but I'd have to have John Daly in there. I'd have to.
Yeah,
Just have one ringer who's gonna get shit faced and smoke 20 cigarettes.
He's probably like Forrest Gump, dude. He's probably seen it all.
he plays here all the time.
Does
Really?
he?
Yeah, in fact, I'm sure if you guys just went up to Old Hickory Country
He'd
Club,
be there just
he'd be there.
swinging 'em,
He has his,
slugging
he has
'em.
his golf cart permanently there.
I don't even
Love
smoke
that.
cigarettes, but I would smoke a whole pack of cigarettes. with
Oh,
John
you'd
Daly.
have to.
I'd
You'd
have
have
to.
to
Yeah.
down a carton on that course.
I'd be cool with
Yeah.
that.
But like 4 or 5, or no, this is probably like 25. Time goes fast, especially with this fucking pandemic. But I was at a Bulls game, and one of my best friends from high school, his younger brother was the Bulls ball boy. He's worked his way up. He's not the ball boy anymore. But anytime a player would have leftover tickets, he'd hit us up like, "Hey, I got Derrick Rose's tickets," or whoever.
Right.
He's like, "Do you want them?" So we would sit in the 300s, but right center court.
Yeah.
And we're walking around the concourse, and it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night, and we had day jobs at the time, like 9 to 5. So it's not like we were getting all crazy or anything. My buddy Ryan, he like gives me an elbow. He's like, "Hey, that's Billy Corgan." And Billy Corgan overheard us say, "Hey, that's Billy Corgan." So he walked up to us, super friendly, and we shot the shit for maybe 30 seconds. And he's like, "Hey, do you guys want a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's a huge Smashing Pumpkin fan. Like, I'll take a picture of you guys. And he's like, "What? You're not a Smashing Pumpkin fan? You don't like the Smashing Pumpkins? What do you got against us? Well, what don't you like?" I was like, dude, I didn't mean it
relax,
like that,
brother.
man.
Dude, it's intense.
It was wild.
We were at the Sunset Marquee the other day. It's just a hotel in Los Angeles that for some reason, like every tour manager or booking whatever, like they're like, "Okay, we'll put the band here. The band's gonna want to stay here." I don't really want to stay there.
Yeah.
Right.
It turns out I don't, but I'm just there and like it's fine. But like there's a lot of other musicians there, and it's all musicians. But like we were hanging out with Green Day. I'd never met them. They were like so much fun. Honestly, we hang out with Mike and Billy Joe.
I like hearing that.
Yeah.
Dude, we were like, yeah, he like Billy Joe like jumped on my back at one point.
That was quick.
Yeah, he's funny. But yeah, there's this cabana set up, and Billy was there having lunch or something with some friends, and like it looked like a scene from like Zoolander. Like someone had like bright orange clothes on with orange matching glasses, and like they're all wearing like tunics, and like I was just like, this is so amazing.
You walk in your porch,
and I'm just like, yeah, walking in like a dumbass, like okay.
That's why we fucking love you, though, because you're a normal human.
You should have like a little TV show.
yeah.
Seriously.
Going.
Yeah.
You've got some really good stories.
If you want a weekly segment, you can just come on and talk shit. Like,
Okay, yeah.
Do you got
just-
anything to say to Jack White right now? Like his shirt's
No,
blowing
I made amends with
White.
White.
So you can finally admit that Meg White's the greatest drummer on the planet right now.
I do like Meg's drumming a lot. I
do
wish they
too.
play. I wish they still played.
Me too.
He's a big baseball guy too. You guys have a lot in common.
Yeah, he's
Midwest
Cubs fan,
guy.
right? Yeah.
Midwest. We have. That's
Wait,
what.
is he Ohio?
He's
No,
Detroit.
Michigan.
Oh no, that's
Detroit.
right. Detroit. Yeah.
But Michigan, it's natural kind of oil and water, like Ohio, Michigan.
You guys came up around the same time too.
I love Michigan though. I do love Detroit. The first time I went to Detroit, we got on stage and we had hung out all day in the city of Detroit. Because we were so excited to go play there. We went and played this little place called the Lager House. It's still there by the old Tiger Stadium. A real rundown part of town, and like
Corktown.
I don't know what they call it.
I think it
Corktown.
is.
It's fucking scary. You know what I mean? But it was like not much scarier than like I guess where I lived in Akron, but way more bombed out buildings. And
Wow,
Dan
yeah,
got on stage. He's like,
sadly.
"Man," he's like, "How do you guys live here? This is a fucking piece of shit." And I was like, "Dude." Everybody walked out. I was like, "You can't say that." And he's like, "Dude, like." Yeah, never again.
That's like Eastbound and Down when he's
Yeah.
doing the interview in
Yeah.
the beginning.
Wait, what's
You thought, I'm not even.
No, I'm not gonna
I'm
say
not
no.
gonna say it.
Come on, dude. We're having a
But
good
we
day.
all know what quote or scene we're talking about.
Yeah. All-time scene.
It's hilarious, but it's
Imagine going to a show in Philly and Dan walks on stage and just like, damn, this place fucking sucks, dude.
hot
I'd be like-
mic.
Well, the reality is like when you're playing most punk clubs, like that's what you see in the city, it's like, whoa, maybe not the best parts of town or something. But yeah, we used to play a game back before, like, we had the internet when we just had like the Rand McNally Atlas, and we would find the fucking street that we had to go to. I mean, it was hard.
Oh yeah,
You figure it
You
out.
used to get out to New
MapQuest?
Jersey like that.
Dude, yeah. If you didn't have MapQuest, you were like looking at the blown up thing, like where the fuck you'd have to guess. We'd try to guess where the cool parts of town is. In fact, Nashville's one of those places where like there's such weird, separate neighborhoods.
Oh, yeah.
And nothing makes sense here. That like if you don't know where you're going to this town, you just be like, I don't fucking get Nashville.
Nope.
But this definitely the first time we came here, like, what the fuck is going on here? The place sucks. Because we played right down the street here where the Three Crow Bar is. Now it was called the Slow Bar.
You
And-
played Three Crow? That was your first spot in Nashville?
Well, it was called the Slow Bar, yeah, and no one was really there, and there was like nothing going on. It was just so desolate, and downtown it was just like the only thing open was a McDonald's, and I was like, what the fuck? That's why when I walk around here now, it's like, damn, like, when people bitch about Nashville growing, all I think is like, man, if Akron could experience like 10% of what the city did, like what a huge benefit would that be for that city? Like growing up in a city that's just like, contracting, and like the other night, some kid got beat to death like in Akron at LeBron James's school, 250 feet from where Dan and I made where we used to make our records. Like that's where that city's going. Like this has not improved. LeBron put the school there, but still, some kids getting fucking beat to death. I mean, that's a brutal thing. Yeah. So yeah, every time people bitch about the city, about it growing and stuff, I'm like, man, like there's a lot of that. And I get it. It's like different. Like I just bitched about it, said how cool it was when it sucked. But I'm from Akron. I'm from Akron. Yeah. I like being able, like, just going downtown and the businesses being open is a shock for me. Because when I grew up, it wasn't like that. Like I would go downtown in Akron, and it was like there was a porn theater called the Downtown Akron Adult Cinema. There was a couple pawn shops. There was nothing. It was desolate. So.
Did you guys ever play the porn theater?
No. But
would you want to?
It's
just
still
for, like,
open.
nostalgia?
It moved, and now I think it's like it's one of those places I'm guessing is like the seediest place on earth. But I've never been inside. Yeah,
it's just one dude a bald dude in a Hawaiian shirt in there that just never leaves.
Yeah.
What is a good hometown show memory for you?
The hometown shows are never really great because it's like the first time we played like the Q, or whatever it's called now,
Quicken Loons Arena,
Rocket Mortgage,
Rocket Mortgage House, wherever.
All corporate names that change every 2 years.
We showed up backstage after the show, and there was like 400 people. Our parents had like gone bonkers and put like everybody, like my dad, this is my barista. And, like everybody
single
like,
person.
This is the paper boy. This is the they walk our dog sometimes. I was like, I literally was just like left and was like, you can't do that.
Oh my God.
What's the okay, on the flip side, what's the best guest list you've ever been put on?
Ooh, that's a hell of a question.
I think that Game 7 of the World Series was.
Oh, you got the hookup.
I
for
got
that
the
one?
hookup for that.
That's a nice little score right there. Those tickets are probably going for $2,000-3,000 a pop, right? Easily, just to
Dude,
get into
I
the
think
stadium,
that they had to put me there because it was all Chicago fans in Cleveland. It was like, dude, it was like Eddie
put you in the
Vedder.
Lions
It was
then?
everybody.
Oh
Dude,
yeah, I'm sure all the Who's.
there was like, dude, there were private jets.
Dave's boy Cusack was there.
It was like going to the Masters. How many people from Augusta are going to the Masters?
Zero.
Yeah,
You
how
know
many
he
people?
went viral for fighting John Cusack?
Not fighting John Cusack.
Cusack was there, dude. His
Yeah, I'm
face
sure
looked
it
like it
was.
got 3D printed on like another person.
Yeah.
It was like interesting.
Oh my God.
That was like the apocalypse game.
Dude, the actors get the work done, man, and it's like looks. I mean, maybe it translates on the camera or something, but you see him in person, you're like, what the fuck?
What did you
Anya-
think when you?
Well, he
Stood
had
toe-to-toe.
he had his like skinhead mask on. Like he had one of those tube masks that goes around. This was last fall, like last October.
yeah.
That goes around your whole.
Wait,
face
what? So
and-
what happened?
Long story short, so I don't really care. I don't think about it, but I think it's lame when people are both a Cubs and White Sox fan. Like I hate the Cubs. You got to pick one. You got to hate one. You got to love the other.
yeah.
It's just how I think it goes. And he is always on. If the White Sox are good, he's at their playoff games. If the Cubs are good, he's at their playoff games. It's like no. You're supposed to be miserable when the other team's good.
Facts.
That's just how it goes.
So Dave confronted him about being.
Yeah,
out of
so
place.
but I did it as a joke, and he started getting fucking furious with me, and he's like double finger pointing my chest and everything. And the video went viral. I didn't even know it was viral until the next day. I looked at my phone. I got 8,000 DMs.
New York Post posted it.
Yeah.
and,
Every person I've
Yeah.
ever met was like, "Yo, what's up with your boy?" I was like, "I don't know."
Snowden tweeted about it.
Oh yeah,
Edward
Edward Snowden
Snowden.
tweeted
Yeah.
about him.
What did he say?
He's called him a moron.
He's like,
He called you a moron?
well, so Cusack's like a black belt apparently, and I guess he's like some psychopath that just snaps and will like kick people's asses.
I'm sure.
and I'm
dude.
not that.
Yeah.
So I heard about that afterwards, but Snowden said something like, not only can my friend John Cusack like beat ass in the karate gym, but he's also on Baseball Encyclopedia or something like that. And I was like, what planet am I on? Where this guy who's like a fugitive or whatever he is, I don't even know. Is
Oh yeah.
commenting on
People
this.
have I don't know. I got a big mouth, so I'm always constantly getting confronted with that. Like, the Billy Corgan arms or whatever it might be. But Corgan to Bennett, it's like, I get what you're saying, and I like competition. I'm into pro wrestling and whatever. Yeah, I think most people are completely fucking crazy.
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
And I steer clear of most people.
yeah, that's how I am. I hate
But
everybody.
like yeah. I mean that's what makes the world so interesting. Is there's so many truly eccentric people out there. I mean, people are fascinating. But yeah, I definitely like. Yeah, I'd be freaked out too if someone felt so passionately about their baseball team that they put fucking hands in my face.
It's a little longer. I didn't like confront him. I just walked up to him.
So you know what? Like it's just like that's the thing. Is like the thing about Cleveland is we're much better at losing. You know what I mean? Like I think when the Cavs won the championship, like it was almost like we all kind of like, fuck, we have nothing to moan about anymore. This doesn't really suit us that well. And like, LeBron, can you please leave now?
Yeah.
Can you please? No, you can go.
Go back
Go to LA. We're
games a
fine. We're more comfortable being the underdog. I feel that way personally. Like, I felt really uncomfortable when we were like, when things really started working for us, like, and we were like headlining Coachella and stuff. That was the most stressful year of my life.
Dude, I get that a lot because like I started Barstool kind of as a joke, and they're like, "Hey, we'll pay $250 a month." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, that pays my utilities."
Yeah.
Splitting a $1,300 apartment with a buddy at the time, that was more than enough for me. And then all of a sudden, it's just like exponential growth. And I never in a million years thought I would be in this spot right here as we speak. But
And then when
it's
you find
hard to
yourself
handle.
on the receiving end of a guy who's passionate about two
Yeah,
teams.
exactly.
I mean, I will say,
He was threatening
I've
to,
always
like,
thought,
beat
I've
my
always thought it
face
was unusual because the rivalry. Because like if they were both in the National League, I'd be like, that would
It's
be.
city pride. I mean, all my best friends are
get-
Cubs fans.
yeah,
Like,
I get
it's
it.
more.
My best friend's a Cubs fan, and that's
Yeah.
why I got to during the World Series. It's funny because I didn't really watch baseball for all of my 20s. Like around the '97 World Series,
Probably flipped it, right?
I was just so bummed out, and then the playoffs in '99.
That team was so awesome too.
They were so awesome.
That's the first World Series I remember. Actually, was that '97 World Series.
I went to watch them. I got to go to a game, and they lost, and I just was like, this is sucks. But I started watching baseball a lot because my best friend is way into baseball, who lives here. That's the best thing I got out of Nashville. Is when I moved here, I moved across the street from this dude who became my best friend. I was like, so he's into baseball. A Cubs fan. He's from Chicago, from the north side, and I started really paying attention like 2014, 15, and then here I am listening to the games, having addicted to the MLB app, and my team's like, the year before, I guess it was that year. Like, dude, they had the winning streak.
The 21.
Yeah.
They had it the
22.
following year too, but and I was like, what? Okay, I was like really like my ears perked up. Like July, I'm like, what the fuck's going on with my team? And like I was like, dude, they could fucking go. They could fucking do. Is this really gonna happen? Like, so when they went, dude, like, I just wasn't expecting them to go. I thought they're gonna get knocked out quick.
Yeah.
But I went to Wrigley for game 4, I guess it was, where they won at Wrigley.
They won all three at Wrigley.
It was
Yeah,
the
they
first,
did,
but it
they
was the
did.
first one they won at Wrigley. So maybe it was game 3. But
It was miserable there.
I was like, wait, what the fuck is happening? I was like, my first time in Wrigley, the Indians just beat the fucking Cubs in Wrigley. I was like, this is fucking amazing. And I was like, it was very weird because a couple weeks earlier, I was out in LA and I was standing in front, it was in a valley, standing in front of this restaurant in the middle of the afternoon. And I hear this car like come like screech,
Billy Corgan.
slam, like park, the door slams, boom, and then oh fuck! And I look up and it's fucking Jeff Garland
What?
had just got out of his
Yeah.
car and he's walking towards me. He's like, I just threw out my back as I was coming to talk to you. He's like walking up to me, his back all crooked. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, he's like, yeah, I just saw you. I want to come talk to you. And I just fucking tweaked my back. And then like I started talking to Jeff Garland. He's like, yeah, I'm a fan of your band, blah, blah, blah.
Dude, he's a huge like blues.
Dude, I was like, I'm a fan of yours. This is crazy. Like,
That's got to be a
I was
weird
like,
moment.
that was
for you,
really weird.
yeah.
Like, this may be the first time ever something like that's happened. Like, someone, like, and it's so weird. He's like, yeah. And
That's awesome.
we exchanged numbers It was like 10-minute thing, and I left. And then a couple months later, a couple weeks later, I see him at Wrigley. He's like, "What the fuck?" And then he's like, "What are you doing?" Like he's kind of bummed. His team just lost, and I then proceeded to hang out with him for like the next 4 hours after the game. He took me into Second City. There's like a whole
that's awesome,
like comedy thing. It was insane, dude.
dude. I'm still like fucking shocked that this actually happened.
I know. I kind of feel bad, and I want to, like, we've taken up so much of your time. I want to put a ball on this, but I also want to appease your management, who I'm sure would appreciate.
No, I've got
a small little plug. What do you got cooking for the rest of 2022 here?
We're doing a U.S. tour. We leave in July. We start in Vegas, and we're going like 3 different. We do it in like 2 or 3 week long legs, so we can get back and get tortured by our kids.
Smart.
So just enough to want to get out of the house. So we're going through October.
Coming through Chicago.
We are.
Coming to
Northerly?
Philadelphia.
We are.
Let's go.
Yeah.
A new record out too.
A new album just came out.
What's the name of it?
Dropout Boogie.
Dropout Boogie.
Yeah.
We talked more about conspiracy theories and cheeseburgers than we did about
Well,
the
that's what I'm
album.
saying. I want
That's the
to.
point. That's the point. You don't need. I mean.
What about like
we'll
Wackys?
get-
You
we'll
really
get
need to like plug it? Like yeah.
I don't know.
I think
It's
you
like
do-
I got to the point where I was like, you do your press. It's like it's interesting to go talk about. So like, what motivated you to make this record? And you know what? Why are you making this record? And it's like because I literally can't do anything else. Like I could cook dinner for my family, but I have to buy the ingredients somehow. So
Yeah.
like this is all I do now.
That's how I
is
feed
make
my
music.
family.
Yeah, I mean, luckily that is how I do it. But yeah, I mean, I think
Was it?
I just feel like I went to art school sort of for like 2 quarters. It was like a fake art school. It was the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. They later like shut down and went out of business because like
Strip mall.
I was going
Pittsburgh Art School didn't make it.
well like I had this teacher there. I was studying photography, and this teacher was like he reeked of whiskey. And this
Sounds
is
about
this is
right.
in the morning. He was like, I was like taking the school seriously, and all the kids were just fuck off. And he was like, "What the fuck are you doing here, dude? What are you doing here?" And he pulled out this big like catalog of all of his photographs. He's like, it's all pictures of like kitchen cabinets and commercial photography. He's like, "You want to do this? You want to do this? Not even just do this. You want to light this and like this is what you want to do?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Well, get the fuck out of here." and
I love this guy.
yeah.
Yeah, it changed your life.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, right. This is bullshit. Okay. And so I was just like, oh yeah, I'm not really that passionate about this. I'm passionate about music. I went to that University of Akron, and I realized that, whatever. Realized that this kid down the street, whatever. It all was fucking very bizarre. Dan and I grew up-
Cosmically.
yeah. But my brother went to art school, and real art school. And like, dude, essentially, like whenever I read music press and artists talking about their work, I'm just like, that person probably went to art school, because you're all you're doing is you're taught how to talk about your art. That's what sells the art, not like what you're actually making. So it's like you're taught to be a bullshit artist. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And because of that, like if I were to talk about my art, I would be bullshitting you, because I don't even think about it when I'm making it.
I fucking love you.
You just go do.
You just do it. It sounds good,
Yeah.
and then that's what it is. And that's, oh yeah, like this part from the song, I really think that thing's really cool, and maybe I could build something off of that. It's like, and when people call you out on that, it's like, there's one thing to like borrow a whole song. It's one thing to like be like, when people are like, yeah, this all of it's connected, man. And like, if I were to drive down the street and be like, every single house needs to be a complete unique approach. You know what I mean? Like, dude, it would be a catastrophe.
Yeah, it's not possible.
It's not possible, dude. And so when people act like it's not connected in that way, it's very hard for me. It's just like a restaurant. It's like the nuance between a burger is very profound to me. And that's why I think it's interesting to talk about pizza or a burger or something, because when you're dealing with the exact same ingredients and someone comes out with something slightly different, like, that's what makes life interesting. You know what I mean? That's what makes humans interesting, is that there's 7 billion of us. Half of us look one way, half of us look the other way, but we can tell each and every one apart. You know what I mean? And that's why That's the interesting thing. So when you start acting like you're coming from this place that's completely unique to you, it just isn't. I think that there's more transcendent than that.
Definitely.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Is like that's why sports becomes this thing that is interesting. Is because it is like you can watch it for various reasons. You can watch it because your team is from the same town. You're from the same town as a team. You can watch it because there's a player that you like. You can watch it because you're into the technical aspect of what someone's able to do. Mm-hmm. There's all these different things, and that's why ultimately golf is so boring to watch on television. You know what I mean? Because you're watching someone compete with themselves. And you're watching the most nuanced mental game.
Yeah.
It does not translate well. You can't even watch the ball flight correctly. You can't watch the swing. You can't analyze the shit. It's like you're watching someone putt 20 feet, but it looks like 3 feet. It doesn't fucking work. Mm-hmm. So what you're really looking for is it's the calming effect. You know what I mean? It's like it's transcendent that way. But when you're watching baseball and you're watching someone whip like a slider, it takes a certain type of person to find that interesting. You know what I mean? And I think that's why I can't even watch basketball. I can't get my head around it because it's just so fucking boring to me.
That's how I am too. Fuck basketball.
I don't see the strategy, and when I do see the strategy, it doesn't seem interesting to me. I don't get it. It doesn't seem exciting to me. Yeah, I think it's the most popular sport in the world.
By far,
yeah. It's interesting. Sports is fascinating. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But that's why it's so amazing. The best thing about sports is like being able to watch it on TV because you can walk away.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
I do that regularly with the White Sox. They piss me off. I'm just like,
dude, it's hard. It's hard to go to attend a football game and sit through that shit.
Yeah.
It is hard. I'm surprised so many people like it because also you're just watching it man, this grown dude paints his face for this game. He gets like that.
They're weird.
And also this guy's found the time to get drunk in the morning before the game and then go do all that. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
I'm one of those guys.
People do the same thing with watching Johnny Depp perform with you guys at the MTV movie where it's like, this guy fucking put on 9 rings.
That's true.
That is true.
It's all connected.
It is all connected. But yeah, that's why I think music definitely doesn't translate on TV or film. I can't watch it on TV. I can watch it for historical purposes.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get excited to watch a band. I mean, maybe on SNL if I'm because you're watching it to see if they fuck up, I guess.
That's
part of it.
You're waiting for the train wreck.
Yeah, I mean, and I, honestly, I'm gonna fucking deliver that sometime. I'm gonna bring it.
You two need to fucking hang out.
Dude, when you do it properly, just train wreck just enough. It could maybe be the best thing you could do for your career.
It's happened a lot.
Not Ashley Simpson, but when Lana Del Rey was on SNL, she didn't do a great crazy job. She struggled with it, and it was you look up the articles. I mean, I remember talking to her right after that. And I was like, she was telling me at the time she was like, I don't want to play music anymore.
Yeah, probably.
And I was like, you should keep playing music. Fuck it.
Now she's humongous.
Now she's massive.
Yeah.
Mega star.
Who is a newer artist that you're excited about or that you are
throw a name out there that
in?
you don't think anybody would have heard of. I like asking this question to you guys.
Or something that people would not expect.
I mean, they don't have to be off the radar, but who do you think has come along in the last few years that you're okay?
I think that there's tons of artists that are interesting. There's lots of stuff I listen to. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I think that when records in my mind is a record will get to you when it's supposed to. Other people do a good job sorting out the cream of the crop. You know what I mean? And in my experience, advocating for bands that are really small is just way too frustrating. Because it's rooting for your single A team that is never gonna be able to throw a 95-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
Most of my favorite musicians never could write a hit song. Never wrote a hit song.
Right.
I love this band Guided by Voices from Ohio, from Dayton. In fact, the singer you should have him on. He threw a no-hitter in 1977 for Wright State, and they have a commemorative T-shirt that they sell.
Sick. Link us.
Yeah, Robert Pollard, dude. He's one of the most prolific songwriters of the last 50 years. He's never had a hit song.
He's got a nasty curveball.
He's a badass. You should definitely have him on.
Jesus Christ, this was fucking unbelievable.
This is my last question for you. So you said that when you're making music, you're You're like, I'll do this part if it sounds good. Like I'll just build on it and I'll just do it. Kenny kind of, our AWOL Nation guy, he kind of said the same thing when he wrote Sail. He's like, yeah, we wrote it in 45 minutes. We were stoned, and all of a sudden, a couple months later, it's like mega hit. You know, hard to handle. Hard to handle. How did that song come to be?
Wait, hard to handle.
I'm just fucking.
He's all day been saying every time I think Black Keys, I think
Dude, no,
Black
no, no, no.
Crowes.
That's not,
Black
that's
Crowes.
not
Oh
it.
yeah. That's
That's
probably
Otis
gotta be-
Redding.
That's Otis Redding. Yeah, I'll take that.
I have a question I like to ask.
Dude, I hung out with Rich and Chris Robinson once years ago.
Did they fist
That's
fight?
They argued, and it was like
Still?
they argued, and it was beautiful.
Wait, so that's no act. That's
No, that's real.
I've hung out with Noel Gallagher a couple times, and I was like,
That's his guy.
That's his guy.
Yeah.
that's my guy. What was he like?
he's amazing.
He's not. He seems like the biggest asshole, though. Is he?
He's funny as hell. But I did say to him, like, the last time I saw him, I was like, so like you and Liam, like, you really hate each other? He's like, what the fuck, dude? I fucking can't stand him. Like, why the fuck would I joke about that? He's like,
How big do you think it would be if they just buried the hatchet and announced a reunion tour? Like, would it?
That would be big. But, they were never that popular in the U.S. Most people don't realize that. We were out. We got asked to tour with them in 2009, right before they broke up. They broke up backstage in Paris at this festival that we ended up headlining there once called Rock and Seine. But, yeah, if you look up there, I think they have one platinum record in the U.S. or something.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
That's it?
but that's the interesting thing. People don't, like, if you go deep on this shit, you start realizing, like, everybody wants to be big in America, But it's weird. Like in the 70s, like they kept trying to take bands to England to break them because the press would write about you quickly, So like Chrissy Hind and different people go to England because you get the press quick. And
That was Kings of Leon too. Like if you look at like 2004.
Kings of Leon. Yeah, but everybody wants to be big in the U.S. That's where you want to be big. That's where you want to be big. There's 65 cities in North America that you can play. Dude, Led Zeppelin has sold like, and of course there's way more people here, but proportionately the platinum award, in England is for a record when you sell 100,000 copies, I think, or
Really?
maybe it's 300,000 copies. And in the U.S. it's a million, but dude, they're like proportionately, they're like 10 times more popular, Led Zeppelin, in the U.S. than they were in England. Because they toured here the most because there's way more money here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like, think about it. Think about all the musicians from England have tried to break in over here. What's that one pop star, Robbie Williams?
Yeah, never made it.
They
in
never
America.
made it. He spent
he's
because that's the goal. The goal is to come here. And what
And
about
he's
that?
so big over there still.
What about that soccer guy, David Beckham and Posh Spice?
Yep.
Like they were, like I don't know.
They're like, I think they're billionaires, aren't they?
They made a lot of
billionaires?
money, but they're like he printed money in
Yeah.
England.
Printed money.
Yeah, I don't know.
So for someone who admittedly not trying to be a badass or flex, but you say that music just comes naturally to you.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't feel comfortable talking about like the creative process and the meaning of the songs and the meaning of the art personally. Dan and I both have always felt uncomfortable with that. But I think, that's all I'm saying. It's just like, it's not that interesting to talk about. Like,
Right.
there's a podcast called Song Exploder that I think is interesting because they do to walk you through the formation of a song, how it comes about, and I think that's something different, But like, yeah, I'm just saying like when I'm on a podcast, scared around sports, maybe talk more about sports because that's what I'm interested in.
So what would you say to somebody, not in Dave's, or to Dave, someone who's trying to pick up music and
I'm just trying to fuck around on a guitar.
no,
I'm
but
not trying to-
someone that's where you were 20 years ago, struggling, trying to break through, frustrated. What kind of advice would you give somebody in a position like that?
I get asked that kind of stuff a lot, and honestly, like if you want to play music for a living,
I don't.
okay,
Yeah.
then like
I just want to pick up a guitar and play it like at a bonfire with the boys.
Then never do that.
I'll be that guy. I'm that guy for a dozen other things. Like I'll be that guy for another one.
You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that guy.
I'm gonna be that guy.
Okay, then I think that you just need to
Not do that.
yeah. Man, definitely don't. I can't give you any advice if that's the goal.
That's how we end the conversation. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's how we wrap it up.
Yeah.
No advice for Dave because we can't let you play the guitar at a bonfire.
Yeah.
Everybody else gave advice, but they were probably thinking this guy's a fucking asshole.
Yep, 100%. Dude,
Yeah,
thank you so much, man.
yeah, yeah.
We
This,
really
this was a
kicked it.
ton of fun, man.
Everybody go listen to Dropout Boogie. Go see Black Keys on tour. Once again, still dumbfounded this actually happened.
Me too.
I didn't think it was gonna happen until I saw you walk through the fucking door.
I know you took a lot of time out of a Monday afternoon for three nobodies. Like, this is awesome, man. Thank you so much.
It's all good, man. Thank you so much. Have
Thank
fun
you
in
so
Nashville.
much.
Yeah.